would like to talk about cloud platforms. You can also call it developer platforms. Just one announcement, it's not going to be a very technical talk, okay? So I won't talk much about Kubernetes, except you ask for it. So please ask questions. Sometimes that's the best part of the talk, so please submit your questions. I would be super interested to talk about these topics that you're interested in. But on the other side, there is no demo that can fail, so there's also something positive. And I'm not going to talk about AI. I could do, because I work in this area every day, but this is not going to be about AI today, except you ask for it. Just a few words about me. I work in IT for some time. I built IT infrastructure platforms since when I joined IT, so I really love building these platforms, even though sometimes it can be very painful, especially if people are going to use what you built. I have some background in systems engineering, also software engineering, software development. I really like to write code. Today I don't have much time for that. Now my full-time job is having meetings. And after having some roles as an architect and product owner, now I do even less technical stuff. The shell is not open that often today. I love to be on conferences, so I love to hear about your opinions, maybe questions. And if you're not interested in these topics, just talk to me about sailing. It's a quite new hobby. I can really recommend it. It's a very nice thing. Or hiking. I'm coming straight out of the Black Forest in southern Germany. My legs still hurt. This is some other stuff in my normal life, but let's keep it as is. One question, please raise your hand. Who has ever heard about RTL? Radio Television Luxembourg. Okay, some of you, most. Then you probably know RTL is a bit more than just Frauentausch and Bauer sucht Frau. GZSZ, yes, this is very popular. So we do television. I don't. My face is not good enough for television, so I'm just here. For some time, I mean, see the brands on the right side, next to the television in the broadcasting, TV broadcasting. We also have digital services like RTL Plus, where you can watch everything via the internet. But we also have some print magazines now in our house, and basically media branch, journalists, a lot of journalists, and with the content that they produce, we reach quite a lot of people, at least in the German-speaking area. The slide says 99%. I guess it's true. It's probably a quite known company, and actually, we have a lot of colleagues here in there. We are talking about 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 employees. So just for those who don't know too much details about this company or the group of these companies, it's a quite big club. And I work at RTL Data. We do things with data. That's a quite new department, founded 3-4 years ago. 2024. And most of our customers or business are these charts. We do build charts for for colleagues in our house, like journalists, to make data-driven decisions. When do you watch GZSZ? When do you watch Bauer sucht Frau? Who is watching it? Which ads could we advertise during that time? What kind of advertise? And all the many channels that we have. So we are a marketing company, actually. And next to colleagues in our internal departments, we also have some services at RTL Data that we develop for our end customers, like the search engine, the recommendation engine that RTL Plus users use. This is coming from our department. We have teams that consist of data engineers, data scientists, analysts, researchers that build these technologies. And yeah, I'm in the infrastructure department, not department, team, actually. So we are a group of cloud platform engineers, and we are looking for more. So if you're interested, reach out to me. These are some of our colleagues. Big, great team, consisted of many experienced colleagues I really like to work with every day. And yeah, again, we're looking for more. Let's dig into the actual topic, internal developer platforms. And just a first small disclaimer, everything I talk about is not just about whole RTL. Yeah? Sometimes I even use my personal experience from previous jobs, previous experiences. I was working as a consultant for 8 years or so. So I've collected some experiences from other bigger companies in mostly Germany. It's not just about RTL. So where did we start? I would like to start small, and I try to use simple languages because I think our stuff is already super complex. When the department has been created, founded, there was a goal to build some of these dashboards. You saw the screenshots maybe. Let's think about some web dashboard that we have to deploy to the cloud. Here's a very simplified overview. Let's say we have a team A, that pushes some Git to somewhere, some code. We are using mostly GCP, so we are deploying it straight to GCP. And it's there, and it's done, right? Well, probably it's a bit too much simplified. Let's add some logos and icons. So probably you want to automate the deployment of the infrastructure. You're using Terraform. You don't want to put your secrets into GitLab, so you put into some secrets manager, Vault or something. Monitoring, Grafana, Prometheus, OpsGenie, some tools that you might need. Of course, we're using Docker. Oh, there's Kubernetes and Helm, of course, and well, Airflow. Some other tools that data engineering colleagues mostly use that they need. And okay, this is a bit more stuff to cover. We did not just start it with one team. You don't found a new department with just one team. There were more. Let's say 2, 3, 4, or 5 teams. Small question, where's the problem? They look all very similar. And some would say, well, do they repeat themselves? Do they have their own technical solution? Again, there was no infrastructure team in the beginning. We were coming more or less later. The teams were doing it on their own, and they are duplicating it. On the other side, we could say they were improving the set of tools that they actually use with the configuration that makes sense most for them. Yeah, but still, there were 3 or 4 different stacks of Kubernetes cluster deployments, application pipelines, and so on. So when some more people with infrastructure automation topics in mind came into that club, including me, we thought, let's just build a platform. And now we are coming to the topic of, or the buzzword about internal developer platforms. You can also just call it operations platform or cloud platform or whatever. I just choose buzzwords because they're fancy. They brought you into this room here. People click on these videos. It's on the Gartner hype cycle. But what I actually mean is something that maybe some of you already do for years. Yeah? There are these ops teams and these dev teams. These ops teams build these solutions, these baseline templates, so that you can automate deployment of environments, to automate recurring tasks, spinning up infrastructure, spinning up permission concepts and stuff like that. And you have some kind of environment concept, permission concept. You try to enforce some standards because you don't want 10, 20 teams to have their own way of building applications, deploying applications, and so on. But still, you want to keep some kind of autonomy for them. And this is now it gets interesting. But we thought, without calling it internal developer platform, we just started to do that. So let's build an internal developer platform. What do we need? the cloud first. So we were working as a startup, kind of a startup. We were able to choose make a lot of decisions on our own. We chose GCP because in a data-driven setup, we were using technologies like BigQuery, which contains a lot of data that our teams are using, raw data or transformed data. So we standardized the way how to get these cloud accounts, deploy these request cloud accounts for them. We took care of the Git setup, like using GitLab, building some standardized pipelines that also run Terraform. We built Terraform modules. We standardized the way how to deploy Kubernetes, how to integrate the Azure AD for authentication, so you have SSO and you don't reinvent all your user groups and stuff like that. Permission concept that we started from the very beginning. Deployed Kubernetes clusters, baseline images, all the boring stuff. Monitoring, backup and recovery, or just only recovery because nobody wants backup, just recovery. And that's it. This is the technical part. This is the easiest part. Let's get some users to our platform. That was one of the first questions. Can we have root access? The owner role in GCP has a lot of permissions, let's say all. Though there were teams using GCP projects that were able to delete GCP projects, just hit this shutdown button in the GCP console. That was possible. Some don't prefer certain tools that we have offered to them. Some don't even want to bother about automation, infrastructure as code or stuff like that, and so on and so forth. People were using it and you get more questions and more, and even though it's nice to have more users, you get interesting requirements. And these quotes were no fakes. This is all real and realistic, especially in bigger companies. So welcome to day 2 operations. This is one more buzzword, the time that you enter if your users are going to use your stuff and you have to deal with their inquiries, that requests, bug reports, feature requests, and somebody asks something to have it in green, the other one wants blue, and so on. And this is what I think is the interesting part of building such platforms. And even though I'm somebody from tech, I would like to emphasize it's not about tech only. So sometimes we have talks here, amazing talks, that propose technical solutions for something. I had some talks today, but also other conferences proposing to use something, let's put Kubernetes into it, Kubernetes for this and that. That's probably the solution, but sometimes it takes some time to even understand the problems and the actual requirements. So what we tried, what was the most crucial part in building a platform that people like to use, we did not force them. We did not have the mandate to force them to use this platform. Today we have teams outside our department that use this platform, not because we forced them, but because we took a lot of time and iterations. The first version was not the best one, but it took some time to understand what are they doing, how do they want to use our solutions, what is the way how they work, the workflows, maybe also some tools that they would prefer, and what do we actually make money with? So what is the product of the company? These are the problems that I think are much more important than the question about the technology. Sometimes we as tech people, because we like tools, we like to build tools and use tools and have some creative process to build things. We skip the question about why. When you deal with cloud platforms that are used by several teams, and Adelina said it's more than 30 teams. Actually, today it's more than 60 teams. They are not so big. Most of them are rather small. Let's say we have a bit less than 60 very active teams, but we have teams from very different areas that completely work different. And sorry to say that, but nobody cares about Kubernetes. They would like to ship their stuff to production. They want to build some dashboards. They have to transform data. They have to transform data between cloud providers. That's hard enough if you talk about a lot of data at RTL Data. And you have many different stakeholders that would like to use different tools. We have people, advanced users, they really love to use Terraform. They even write their own Terraform modules, so our customers or product teams write their own Terraform modules to do certain things, but some don't, like our researchers, they don't even know about Git or Python or something like that. They don't care about that stuff. They just want to use the web UI, like the GCP console or some tools that just offer web UIs instead of scripts or something like that. And having these people brings you into some situation that you regularly have to balance the interests. On the one side, like us on the platform team, you reach out for stability and maintainability. You don't want to have too many tools that solve the same task or problem. You have to deal with the topic of security and compliance. We are talking about data. There is this GDPR thing that also covers us. You want to do some standardization, so you don't have to reinvent deployment pipelines for every single application team. This is standardization for us. And since you are a central cloud platform team, you are in the responsibility to also think about cost-efficient infrastructure solutions. So we run more than 100 Kubernetes clusters on GCP, GKE clusters. That puts us even more into the situation that we have to think about reducing overhead, reducing the overhead where it's possible. We are multiplying, if for one set of Terraform code or deployment stuff, we are multiplying the costs by tens or hundreds if you have 100 Kubernetes clusters. So this is on the one side. On the other side, product teams want to be innovative. They want to use tools that you never heard about. AWS, GCP, they publish new services all the time. You, as an infrastructure team, probably never heard about them, but they want to use them, and they should be able to use them in some way, in a secure way, more or less. And they don't want to create Jira tickets to get it and wait weeks for you to prepare Terraform code and stuff. They want it now, and this is self-service. And many people talk about self-service, but to be honest, I think self-service, it's a great thing to have, but it's very expensive to have. It would take, maybe it takes years for us to be now in a situation where we slowly get more self-service offerings on our platform. It took some time. So all these things on the side, and what I would like to focus on are some core principles that we evolved over time. They were not there on day one. Otherwise, the platform would be perfect from day one. It wasn't. But some summary of advices I would like to share that we can talk about afterwards, that I would propose to think about when building platforms, building new ones, or improving existing ones. And one of the things that are the first here, which I've already heard yesterday in a talk, is treat your platform as a product. The technical part, of course, this is our main job, but when development teams, product teams come to us, they don't care about the technical solution. They would like to ship their product to the market and make money. That's the point. They don't care, so at least most of our teams don't really care about Kubernetes or Helm values and stuff like that. They would like to, some also have to use a platform because they don't have their own infrastructure engineers. And this takes time. So what we do is we communicate a lot. I will focus on that later. But we treat this platform as a product, and we apply principles of product marketing or product management to building this platform. And this is more or less my main job. I don't write much Terraform code anymore, but this is the main deal. And one of the first, let's get a bit more technical, decisions was to treat these teams, let's call them development teams or engineering teams, we call them product teams, as actual product teams. In the beginning, they were called project teams. Where's the difference? You have a project, you will build something, your airport is done then. It's done. This is a project. This is not the case for most of the applications that teams build and have to maintain in the long term. So we treat these teams as product teams that run actual products that also have to own that stuff and have the possibilities to more or less have also enough permissions to actually maintain that stuff. We have a quite extensive permission concept to deal with a lot of things, but still they have a lot of permissions. And there's one big reason for it. We have decentralized the whole infrastructure. There is not one big GCP project that runs one big Kubernetes cluster, but every single product team, some that are also very heterogeneous, so they differ to each other a lot. They do very different things. Some do very similar things, but most of them differ to each other. They just get their own infrastructure, their own GCP projects, their own AWS accounts, also their own Azure subscriptions. They get their own Kubernetes clusters. Having small Kubernetes clusters makes life very easy, just to say. So these 100 of Kubernetes clusters are rather small, and even though it sounds like a big number, they don't run much more than 3 or 5 nodes or so. This makes maintaining this list of Kubernetes clusters easy. So it's not, our setup is not simple, but compared to big Kubernetes clusters that also exist at RTL, where you have at peak times during prime time 400, 500 nodes, where sometimes even your cloud provider is lacking out of resources and you need your technical account manager to raise the quota, makes life very easy for us, for our workload, for our kind of teams. And we have super small blast radius. So what we want from our developers to do something like canary deployments, we do in our infrastructure. We don't roll out a change everywhere immediately, not even per environment, but we have one portion of customers where we know we can break something and they are fast to respond. We do canary deployments for infrastructure changes as well. And since everything is decentralized, it just super easy. Of course, we automate a lot. This is, I think, nothing we have to think about. Maintaining hundreds of GCP projects, most of them are not used, to be honest. Out of these 500, 600 GCP projects, maybe 200, maybe the half, 200, 300 GCP projects are actually in use. We have maybe 50 AWS accounts or so that run several certain things. We have to automate it. We made one decision in the very beginning that now is going to be changed a bit, is to have one Terraform repository per team. When we are thinking about, and not even per team, but per, let's say, product, that's our abstraction. We have one team can have multiple products. So if you have, I don't know, 150 products, we have 150 Terraform repositories that we use for the base infrastructure deployment. But there's even an additional Terraform repository for the product teams to write code, merge code without our approval, which with a bit less permissions. Synchronizing these repositories takes some time, and we are now in the process of seeing where horizontal scaling hurts and it's not so easy anymore. The whole onboarding, permissions, GitLab structure, and so on and so forth is getting painful at the moment. But that was one thing, of course, we do. I mean, automation. We are on a ContainerDays, that's nothing really much worth talking about. But one thing that was one of the best decisions we made is to have one central store of information about this whole infrastructure. Even though we have hundreds of Terraform repositories, there are not hundreds of individual Terraform code bases. Actually, all repositories have more or less the same Terraform code. They just call Terraform modules, but they iterate over one schema of data that is centrally available, that actually everybody can access, where we have lists of Kubernetes classes that should be deployed, Airflow instances, or other stuff that should be deployed on top of the infrastructure that we offer, that is used by all of our subsystems, like Argo CD. The monitoring stack, we are using Grafana Mimir to centrally store the metrics. Cost reporting is also one thing that we do. We have team-specific cost reporting. Some also call it FinOps. We even do now chargeback now, just because we have this central store, this single point of truth for this information. And that was one very valuable decision, to have one structured set of information about the whole infrastructure. Other teams now face the issue that they can't attribute infrastructure components, I don't know, some services that run on GCP accounts or AWS accounts. They're not able to attribute them to the teams, to some teams, because they have shared infrastructure, and they are not even attribute the cost to specific teams. Thanks to decentralized setup, that's possible for us. And one thing that we do today, and this is, controversial topic, we have a highly opinionated technology stack. So we don't support every single tool for a job, but we try to have one set of tools that are integrated with each other. Most of the tools you probably already know, I don't have to talk about them. That serves for most of our customers very well. We have standardized a lot. In the case of where a team needs something more, some individual tools or services or even some more permissions, they can do it. We have a sandbox environment for every single team. There they have root permissions. They can deploy everything they want to have, but we soon have a monthly cleanup garbage collection that cleans up this GCP project. Just a playground for them. And for tools that they even want to use in production, they can just do it. We recommend to use the tunnel that goes through this mountain. But if they decide to go over the mountain, which I would also prefer, I like to hike, even climbing, but if they think it's smarter to go over the summit, feel free. You own your infrastructure, you have to maintain that, you are paying the price afterwards. We offer the support for a base tool stack, and that's basically it. And last but not least, of course, having this quite strict opinionated stack, having a permission concept that you try to enforce, standardizing the technologies that you offer to your teams, this sometimes leads to the circumstance that you don't make teams not that happy. If you tell them, sorry, we are not going to support this and that. This requires a lot of communication. Not only this in the beginning where you are going to onboard a team, but for all the many components that you run. I mean, most of you, I guess, run similar platforms or infrastructure. You have to communicate changes all the time. We have those all the time. We run a changelog for infrastructure. We have a central place where we summarize every major change, or also less smaller changes of our platform, so people can see what has changed on this platform. We have a quite transparent roadmap for those who are interested into it. That's not much, but at least we are open to also onboard new features. We are having regular talks to them. There are even metrics and a lot of ideas in the world of product management, how to get feedback and metrics, whether your customers are satisfied and so on and so forth. We do most of that. Of course, we also run a lot of documentation, but I think this is one of the hardest parts, to actually try to understand the use cases of your teams and bring them into this shape of your platform that is highly standardized. I think this is one of the hardest part. So coming to an end, we try to be sometimes to be less technical in the work that we do, at least in the communication that we do to our customers, to our developers. We treat our developers as customers. We usually don't force them to use our platform. They should do it on their own. And some do that now outside our department just because our offering, the advantages of being a customer of this platform is higher than the costs to go to somewhere else or doing it by hand and so on. So this makes the developers, the customers, we treat this platform as a product. We do product management. We talk a lot to people, even to management. We talk about use cases, and this requires this part of product management, and this is the quintessence of my talk here. It's not just about technology, and that's basically it. Thank you very much.